So what instruments should you take to Rebellion? Wind instruments. So far I've talked about guitars and percussion, and a lot of people play the guitar, a lot of people play drums or percussion. Fewer people probably play wind instruments, so maybe this video gets less interest, but I do. I play the flute, and sort of by consequence or relationship I also play the tin whistle and the recorder. And there's a question, what's the best thing to take to a demo? Now, one thing I've not really talked about so far is that your instruments, when you take them to a demo, are best if they're weatherproof. I mean, I'm taking some that are not weatherproof. This is a wooden ukulele, but it's actually fairly waterproof. I don't mind playing it in a drizzle. And this is a nice 3/4 size guitar, child's guitar, and it's a nice one, and I don't know how well it would withstand getting wet. Would I play it in a drizzle? Would I put it away? But it's really nice to be able to play instruments that you just don't have to put away, even if it's raining. You know, as long as you've got your raincoat on, it doesn't matter if the instrument gets wet. Like these jingles, like this cowbell, agogo. So what would I bring as a wind player? So one of the first things I thought was bring a recorder, bring a plastic recorder. They're waterproof, great, let's do that. Problem is, they're not windproof. Same problem with flutes. If I were to take the whole flute, I've got a few flutes in here. Yeah, so I took this flute, lovely flute. Not waterproof, but also not windproof. So it means it's very vulnerable to when it's windy. You just can't play it because the wind's trying to blow up your flute at the same time you blow down it. Same issue with the tin whistle. Very lovely. Also not that loud, not that loud, not that windproof. So what else could you take? Well, if you are familiar with the recent Dartmoor protests for wild camping, you'd have seen me on that demo playing this. This is a very simple 6-hole flute. It's a Fife actually, which means that it's basically the same pitch as a piccolo. No, it doesn't mean that, I'm so sorry. Fifes can be a variety of pitches, but it does mean it's high. So this is a high D Fife, and it's great because basically the Fife requires so high in pitch, it requires so much air pressure that it's pretty much windproof. Disadvantages. Is it waterproof? It's quite well varnished. I'm happy playing that in a drizzle. But it's hard, it's difficult to play. That's the problem with the Fife as opposed to the flute. It's difficult, but if you can get it, it's a great one. Also, problems, 6-hole flutes are diatonic, so this is in D and that's the key it's in. And even unlike the tin whistle, it's hard to half hole, not because it's difficult, but because the half hole notes are weaker. So the F natural is much weaker than the F sharp. The F sharp's, you know, it's much better, isn't it? The half hole is the F natural. So problems there. Something I'm experimenting with at the moment is this. I've got it from Hobgoblin Music. It's by Glenluce, and it is a chromatic Fife in plastic. It might actually just be so challenging for me to learn to play in terms of like adapting to the fingering that I'm not familiar with, that I'm not familiar enough with it in time for the next season of protesting. And by the way, this is by Sweetwater and also available from Hobgoblin, really nice. And so, you know, that really got me through a situation of playing in a folk band for a Dartmoor demo, because it's so easy to make it so loud. It was really audible, and you know, just really windproof and just could withstand up to those conditions. So that was great. Also, I don't know if you've ever tried playing a recorder and walking along. It's really difficult because there's not much back pressure provided by a recorder, which basically means that as you're walking, it's harder to keep your breath pressure consistent. Whereas with a flute, it's much easier to keep the breath pressure consistent because you're doing it through your own lips. That's how you're controlling it. So you can walk, run, anything you like, as long as you've got the breath for it, and you won't experience the difficulty in producing the right tone. But you know, this I think was £13. So yeah, great. I think the difficulty for me is with these two instruments, I think they're probably going to be great for some things like folk, and sometimes we do play folk out on our demos. I noticed that, but it's going to be a bit hard if anything comes up that's a bit kind of jazzy, because they are just such simple flutes, and I'm not very experienced with them. But one of the things I've really wanted to do is to play this melodica. And that's because I saw, do I count this as a wind instrument? Don't know. That's because I saw John Baptiste videos of his love riots, which are kind of marching band type parties that he does on the street, not for protest, just to celebrate music. And he's an excellent, you know, really top of his game piano player, and he plays this on the street. And it can be great, but I have to say I haven't used it yet. I'm looking for the opportunity to use it, because the last time that I was with a group that were kind of playing jazzy stuff, I was singing, and of course you can't do the both because it's a wind instrument, but you can do this kind of thing. Oh, hang on. Where's the half note? There we go. The seas are rising and so are we. 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 So I need a bit more time to practice with that, I'm sure. I hope it comes in handy. And if you don't know what a melodica is, it's a sort of plastic keyboard with harmonica reeds in it. The worst thing about it is having to tune it, because they're often not quite in tune when you get them. And I probably maybe should talk about how to do that in another video if anyone wants to do it. But I think the reason they get a bad rap is they're often not quite in tune, but you can tune them yourselves with very few tools, so I did that. And what about a harmonica? Well, I've often thought, what about a harmonica? Because sometimes when you go as a musician to a protest, you're handed a microphone and someone says, oh, you know, like, can you sing with everyone? Can you do a performance? And you think, where do I plug in my instrument? I can't do that. But with a harmonica, of course, you can hold it up to the microphone. And I think the thing is, I'm not very good at the harmonica, that's the problem. So you can alternate between the harmonica and the chord and singing very easily. And people do that. But it's hard. And, you know, hopefully I'll get that, maybe not this year, who knows? Woke up this morning and I don't know, climate change was happening. Well, I woke up this morning and climate change was happening. That's the worst. Doesn't even fit. That's a terrible blues song. But yeah, you get the idea. That's kind of like what I hope to be able to do one day, or similar, or better.